Hi everyone, it's Leilani. Welcome back to my channel. So today, friends, we are going to be doing something a little bit different over here. You can see I have October daily things out, and it is definitely still the end of July, but I am starting a Summerween series on my channel where I'm going to be deconstructing my October daily album from 2022, and I'm going to be creating a new October daily album with all of those memories and those photos in it out of this Life Crafted album. Now, as I'm working on this video, I will definitely get into detail about why I chose to deconstruct it and why I'm redoing this album and all that good stuff. But here for the intro, I just want to simply kind of show you what my plan is. So here, this older album, this was actually a altered children's book album. I was trying something different this year. I used my cinch tool, but I've taken off the cover, and I took this cover off a while ago simply just so I could look through this book. But still, it's not sparking joy. It's not doing it for me. I think I would be really happy if I redid it in a Life Crafted album. And hey, it's my book, right? So I can do what I want to. So this is my October daily from 2021. I absolutely adore this book. I love to flip through it, see all of these amazing October memories. And then also in 2023, I did a similar book here in a Life Crafted album. And again, I just absolutely adore it. So we're going to go ahead and take 2022, bring it on into the club, and give it a Life Crafted album to call its home as well. There's hair, dog hair, people hair, all kinds of hair around here. These really stick with all the things. So before we get into it, I just wanted to quickly show you, I do have this Life Crafted album here that I got from Citrus Twist. They're basically a 4x8, I think just slightly bigger than that, and perfect for kind of that traveler's notebook style album. So I grabbed this one. Then I also wanted to go with the same collection or very similar collection that I used in 2022. So I did pick up some more of the Prima Luna collection. So here I have the large 12x12 paper pad, which I think will give us plenty of paper to work with. Then I grabbed this particular sheet, which, if I'm not mistaken, no, this is also from Luna. Okay. Yeah, they both are. Okay, so we have both of these just in case I wanted to use either one of these guys. These patterns in particular were some of my favorites. And then I also, this ghost was one of my all-time favorites. So I grabbed 2 more sheets of that, and it has the nice spider web on the back. So I just grabbed like some additional sheets along with this acetate page, which I actually did not use the first go around. I think it's really cute with little black cats. I had to grab the puffies, and then this is the one that is the Prima Twilight collection. So it's not Luna, but I wanted to grab these little tags just in case I wanted to use them. That's all I have, because I am going to be both creating new pages, printing off my photos again, reconfiguring things, but I'm going to try to use some of this album as well. So I'm going to be actually deconstructing this, taking this apart, using pieces that I still enjoy and that I can, and incorporating those into this new album. So really quick, I'm going to show you some of the pages that we are going to be working on today. So we're going to do an intro page with a similar photo there. We're also going to be doing the Apple Crisp story about the Apple Crisp oat milk macchiatos. Then we're going to be reusing all of these little tags that include some cute photos from around the house. And we're going to be doing a media page all about the spooky autumnal movies that I watched this year. So switch on your jack-o'-lanterns, light your favorite pumpkin candle, grab your coziest blanket, or at least in theory, because I know it's still hot everywhere right now, but let's get those October vibes going, and let's create this fun October daily Summerween album. All right, friends, now let's get going into the process. So, of course, you're mostly going to see me working here with this new Life Crafted album and all of the goodies that I showed you at the beginning of the video. But I do have my actual album there from 2022. So you're going to see me kind of look back on it. I am using it definitely for a lot of inspiration. I'm going to try to go by all of the stories that I told in 2022 and tell the majority of those stories in this new book. Also, some of the pages I'm going to be completely redoing. I've printed off new pictures, all that kind of stuff. But there are a few elements that I'm going to take directly out of that album from 2022 and put it into this new one. So you'll see all of that as I go, and I'll explain things as we continue to create this new book. So the first thing that I like to do with a lot of these Life Crafted albums is just pick out a pattern paper, and then I just roughly measure the front and back covers and also that little strip there in the middle. I roughly measure those, cut them down to size, round my corners there, and then adhere the pieces of paper into the album. And I just think it makes it a little bit more fun, more whimsical, all that kind of stuff. Now, after I chose the black spiderweb pattern, I started to kind of rethink my decision. But it's on there, we're keeping it, and we're going to just move on. I do really like it. I have the gray album here from Citrus Twist, so I think that it all works out just fine together. Speaking of spiderweb, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to cut down a piece of paper that is going to be my title page. Now, this is going to be a really simple title page, and a lot of these pages are going to be super, super simple. I think that's another thing that kind of annoyed me about my album from 2022. So I just really went outside of my comfort zone. I was super getting into working on altered children's books. I'd done that a few times over on Patreon, and I just thought, oh, maybe this year for October Daily, I will do an altered children's book. But I was not that comfortable and familiar with the cinch. I feel like I did not do a very good job. I honestly think I did quite a poor job on cinching that album together. So I feel like it was always difficult to flip through. Secondly, I was originally thinking I was going to have to do 2 albums, but I just honestly, me personally, do not enjoy ever having 2 albums for like one specific themed album like October Daily. So then I tried to stuff it all into one, and it was just huge. I mean, comically huge, very difficult to flip through. And it was just something that kind of bummed me out whenever I would go back to look through my October dailies, and I would have this beautiful album that I love from 2021. I had the same kind of experience with my album from 2023, but then this 2022, I love the stories, I love the photos, but I was so bummed that I was not able to just flip through it and enjoy the album now as I, would have liked to. So that is what has prompted me to redo the album. And this is just kind of a note that I know that some people would never do that. You've made it and that's it. And we're just going to live with it. And whatever, it might not be your favorite, but you're happy about it. And it's something you created. And I totally understand that. And that's valid. And you do you. And I know a lot of people I've seen on the internet where they are kind of in my camp, where if it's not sparking joy, it's not something that you like anymore. Just because you created it doesn't mean that you have to keep it. Now, I might have mentioned it in the intro. I'm not exactly sure. But I did do the deconstructed albums, mostly from things that I made a very long time ago. But this one is really quite recent. So this is kind of abnormal that I would redo an album like this. And honestly, if this album had been in a Life Crafted album or something similar, I would not have redone this. But alas, I think that I will be much happier with this once it is redone. So while I was chit-chatting there, I did do the title page. It was a super simple title page. I pulled out the Sophie Alpha stamp, the same alpha stamp that I used in the original album from 2022. So I'm kind of keeping that the same, and just added October Daily 2022 to the opening page. We might add more later, but for now, we're going to go ahead and move over to my first story. Now, I'm doing basically the same thing here that I did in the original album, which is I cut out the same two pieces from the cut apart sheet, and I'm going to create a little flip, and I'm going to put journaling behind that flip. So that's actually exactly what I had previously. I did not take that directly out of the original album from 2022 because it was adhered down really good and it wouldn't have come out of that album easily. So I just thought I would kind of somewhat recreate it with a new twist. So here I took that piece of ephemera and I'm popping it down. That's where I'll add my journaling. And then I'm going to take some washi tape, which I'm showing you here. So I pick out a couple washies and I'm going to make sure that I can get this other piece down. So then I'll have a little flip and I'll add my journaling underneath it. Also in my original album, I did handwrite my journaling. In this album, I decided to get on my computer here in a little bit and I do type up my journaling and I print it off on the clear sticker paper, which I just started to use and I love it. So I decided to do that just for ease, and I felt like there was so many patterns and so much stuff going on with this collection and everything that I thought that maybe the typed journaling would just help kind of rein it all in, and I just thought I would like it a little bit more. So I do look back on all of my journaling from my original album, which was extremely helpful. I barely changed any of it. I mostly just retyped what I already wrote in 2022. So the only reason why I would have changed it is if I was changing the layout and needed just a tiny bit more journaling, I might have added a sentence or two, but for the most part, I just kept it the same. So again, I'm doing the same thing underneath here where I'm spelling out its time, and then I will add that typed journaling later in the video. So I'm personally really excited to be redoing this album. I definitely am not someone who is really worried about all of my albums matching, especially having the same type of album, like let's say a Life Crafted album for all of my October dailies. I don't tend to put myself in that kind of a box. So if one year I want to do a 10 by 8 or a 6 by 8 or whatever it is I want to do, like be my guest, I don't mind changing it up. But I do think that for all of these like really heavy hitter projects, like travel albums, October daily, December daily, all of those that really are like my favorite projects, I think I've learned my lesson basically, and I would like to keep those in one of these types of traditional albums. I just think that they're easier to look through and I will like them more in the end. So I learned my lesson with trying something different. Now, I do want to say that all of the original process videos, so there's like at least 7 of them for that original album from 2022, are up on my Patreon. So my Patreon is closed for new videos, but I do have a $5 tier opened where you can go look at my Patreon archive. So I do have all of the process videos over there for my album from 2021, 2022, and 2023. So if you do want to see any of those, it is open and it's only $5 and you can watch all of those videos. So here you can see that I added on my typed journaling. I'm also adding on the date because a few of my stories did have the date involved. So I'm adding just October 2022 there to that one. And then I decided on this side that I wanted to add spooky season, which is the same thing that was on my large photo before. Now, if you noticed, I do have 2 pictures here that changed. So I have, this is a different selfie than the one that I used in 2022. And the next story about my Starbucks drink is also a different photo. So unfortunately, as I looked back through my photos, that's what I did, of course, before I turned the camera on, whenever I was even deciding if I was truly going to take on this project, I looked through all my old photos and I found all the important ones from 2022. My costumes, the pumpkin patch, all that type of stuff. But any of these kind of like really non-important photos, I wasn't that concerned with. So I don't have the exact selfie from 2022, but I found this one that's just another version of it. So that's fine with me. Also, the Starbucks drink, like I mentioned before, I do not know where that picture is of mine in my mom's hands from that year, but I had another picture of me from the same time holding the same drink from that season. So I just put that one in instead. So if it's an important photo, obviously I would want to have that picture in there, but for this one, these work out just fine. So here I just put spooky season, let the fun begin, and then I'm just adding a few little embellishments and finishing touches here to this one, and then we'll be moving on to the next story. So I am going to add just a bit of ribbon. I do have this pink velvet ribbon that I'm going to staple into place. Also, you'll notice that I did cut it out just because this video, the actual footage was really, really long. It took me a while, so I did cut a few things out. I did add a little bit of washi to the holes on that first page, but I am going to take that off. I do use that washi sometimes throughout the video, but I just ended up not liking it. So you're going to notice me take this washi off, and you might be thinking, when did you put that on? And I did not show it in the video because I do end up taking it off. Sometimes I like to just add a little bit of extra embellishing on the punched holes of my page, but for that one, it was a little too much for me. So here you can see, again, I have a different photo of my apple crisp oat milk macchiato, but I do have a picture there from that same season, from that year, so that works out fine for me. So here again, I'm just going to stamp my title, apple crisp macchiato. So I am excited because y'all know that when August rolls around, you start having the first peaks of fall. And even though it is still extremely hot, I am excited because Starbucks will announce their drinks pretty much right into August. And I'll be able to get my apple crisp macchiato again, which I am really excited about. I definitely try to milk that until the very end of the year. Usually they keep it going for quite a while, and it is my favorite Starbucks drink. Although, of course, I've been getting the brown sugar oat milk shaken espresso, and I love those as well. But here I, of course, love to talk about a seasonal Starbucks drink, and that's something that I love about these albums. Like every year, I have done the little spooky filter, that same filter from that first story. I've done that in 21, 22, and 23. I plan on doing it in 24 as well, and I think that that's really fun to have that consistent thing of like that filter is how I start my album every year. And then also one of my first stories is typically always my Starbucks drink order because that is a big thing for me, especially me and my mom go to Starbucks quite a bit. So it's really fun to start to get the new seasonal drinks that feel like fall and taste like fall and all that kind of good stuff. So I love to document that. So you can see that just like most of the time with the Life Crafted albums, I'm keeping all types of different pages in here. So some of them are outside the page protector, some are in the page protector. You'll see some will be more interactive and some are just simple pockets. And that's one thing that I really love about the Life Crafted album is that I feel like they're really versatile and easy to move from different page protectors back and forth. And it's always really fun to me. So this next story is one where I was able to use pieces from my original album. So I used all of these tags. So these tags were made back in 2022. They're a part of a cut apart sheet that's in that same paper pad, the Prima Luna paper pad that I'm using currently. So I was able to just use those tags that I already made. They already have photos on the back of all of my home decor from that year for Halloween and also of the doggies hanging out in the living room. So I love that I was able to use these pieces because it just makes things easier for me. So I am going to be doing that several times in this album, this new album where I can. So here, all I'm doing is I'm basically creating a similar page to that old layout as well, where I took the polka dot paper and then I'm just cutting smaller strips of that same paper to create pockets. So I'm just cutting down my strips, adding on some red line tape, which is nice and sticky adhesive. And then I'm going to adhere that down and it just creates a pocket. Super easy. I'm going to embellish the bottom of this spread and also add in my journaling. And then the majority of this one was done for me. So that's what I love about the concept of deconstructing my old albums. You know, for me, the idea is that I can use some of the old elements from the old album if I can. So these tags were perfectly well made and I still really liked them and they fit very nicely in my new album. So I was able to just pop those right in and didn't have to reprint the photos or anything. So I was really happy with that. That's going to come in handy later on as we continue this series over here because I could not find every photo, like I was saying before, that I documented originally in 2022. So I'm going to be able to use some of the photos out of that original album. So we're going to just do our thing and kind of have a Frankenstein, perfect for Halloween, a Frankenstein version of the two albums, but now put into like a better home. I feel like this is just a better home for my stories, the Life Crafted album, and I will be much happier to be able to flip through this as the years go by. So here I'm just adding a few other embellishments, going to add my journaling about how I love to decorate the house and all of that and get out all the decorations every year. And it's so fun. And then we'll be finished with this one. So yeah, I would love to know what your ideas are about redoing albums. Like, how do you feel about it? I've really loved the ones that I've redone in the past, and the albums that I have now just make me so happy, and I find that I look through them a lot more than I did before. So ultimately, that's what I always want out of my albums, is just a place that brings me joy and allows me to be able to look back through my own memories, which just gives me a lot of serotonin or dopamine or whatever the thing is that you want. I totally get that from looking back through my own albums. So that's what I wanted to have with this spooky season as well. So here I want to cover up the back of this pattern paper. So I am going to add a little piece of washi, of that same pink washi, because I already printed off this photo and I knew that it wasn't going to be quite as big as my paper. So I printed off the photo as a 4.2 by 8.2 size. And this is just simply the, of course, movie poster that I got off of Google. So that was another great thing about several of my stories from 2022, is that they were just things that I could re-Google again and reprint off the photos for. So this was the year that the new Hocus Pocus 2 movie came out. And that was, I think, everybody who I saw a October daily for practically that year talked about Hocus Pocus 2. So a lot of millennials in the chat here wanting to kind of relive the fun and nostalgia of Hocus Pocus. So of course, nothing will ever be as good as the original movie. Of course, a lot of us really hold that movie dear, but Hocus Pocus 2, I thought they did a good job and I did enjoy it. And I watched that movie with my mom and dad that year and it was really fun. So I definitely wanted to document that. So in the original album, I did have a full-size photo. So I decided to do the same concept here. So I have that full-size movie poster. But then I didn't have any room to add my journaling. So what I did was I grabbed one of those pre-made tags out of the little tag book that I had. And then I'm just adding my journaling onto the tag, going to decorate it a little bit on the back. And then that will just be like an even smaller page that you can turn in my album. Another thing that I forgot to grab out during this video was my tab punch, and that might be something that I do add later. So don't be surprised if you see that as we go and I add a few little tabs here and there. So maybe I'll grab that out for the next video. So there will be, I don't know how many, but there's going to be several videos in this series until we finish up this album. So that's why I'm calling it Summerween. So here for the end of July and on into August, before we really get into kind of the pre-fall and then the fall vibes and everything, I thought that it would be fun, sort of like Christmas in July, to do a Summerween series and work on these older Halloween stories, which I think will be really fun, especially if I have any fall people watching the video like me. I can watch Halloween and fall content at any time. So it kind of gets me back in that spirit and makes me really happy. So it was so fun to work on this today. I've got to say, I really enjoyed kind of getting back into this time of year, getting all that anticipation for the upcoming months. And I just can't wait for whenever the calendar gets there and it flips over to October. I am excited about it. So let's see. So here we are moving on to kind of the second half of this story, which is about the other fall movies that I wanted to watch, or that I did watch in 2022. So kind of a goal of mine, I had compiled a list of all of these autumnal movies. I had found a couple lists online, and then also I asked people for recommendations, and these were some of my favorite ones and the ones that I did end up watching that season. So besides Hocus Pocus 2, I watched When Harry Met Sally and You've Got Mail, which are now two of my very, very favorite movies for that time of year, especially When Harry Met Sally. I also watched Mystic Pizza and Mona Lisa Smile, which were two that I did really enjoy. They both had Julia Roberts in them. I especially liked Mystic Pizza. That was more up my alley. I thought that was really good. I'd already seen Knives Out before, but I did rewatch it, and I can see why people recommended that for the autumnalness of it. And then the other one was Practical Magic, which I don't know, y'all. I'm in the minority here with that one, but I get it. The vibes are nice, but like the movie itself just like doesn't fully pull me in. That was, I think, the second time that I'd watched it, and I just don't know that it's like my movie. Like I would watch it again, but I don't think that it's one that I'm just like really crazy gravitating towards every year. So, if you did not catch the sequins that I used, I'm so sorry, I didn't either, but you could definitely pause and read the little baggie of sequins there. If you have any questions, you can of course ask me in a comment and I'll try to figure out where I got those. But those were some sequins that I had in my drawer. They are so cute, and I thought that I wanted to, at first I was going to just add in paper, but then I thought, nah, I want to add in a couple sequin pockets. They just make things so festive, so fun. I knew I had some spooky sequins in my drawer, and these little 2x2 pockets are just absolutely perfect for that. So I added in a mix of pattern paper, my movie posters, a little bit of journaling, and my sequins. I'm using my fuse tool here to just fuse up those pockets so that the sequins will stay in place. And then we have all of these first few kind of like prelim stories for the season told, and I'm just so excited about it. So I can't wait to continue this project with you guys throughout this season. I know it's going to be really fun here to kind of like get into all the spooky feels in the summertime. So I hope that you enjoyed. If you did enjoy this process video, please give me a like, and please also consider subscribing. And like I said, I will be posting videos throughout the next couple months, and we will finish up this album together. So thank you so much for being here again. I hope you guys have an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. I will talk to you later. Happy Summerween, friends. Bye, y'all.